Hi everybody, I was at the flea market the other day and I scored a bag of these antique vintage light bulbs here with the squirrel cage drawn tungsten filament in there. Just a single tungsten strand of wire wrapped around all these hooks on the inside. Very, very nice. All genuine antique. You can see just about make out maybe right there the GE Mazda. It says National GE Mazda, and they put a white background on it there. There, it's much better with the dark background. National Mazda GE emblem right there in the middle. And this one rated 120 volt and 60 watt. Unfortunately, and you can even see the filament jiggling in there, that's a busted filament. And I could see that at the flea market. I knew right away that it was busted just by looking at it. But I could see the others here, at least this one and that one seemed to be okay. Couldn't tell very much about this one with the frosted glass. But hey, $2, take a chance on it. Anyway, I've got 3 bulbs here with the glass tip on it, the pointed tip where it was evacuated. This one is probably a little newer because it does not have the tip on, and you can see the evacuation tube going down into the base. I'm going to get this one out since that one's busted. Now, I already tested this frosted one too, and that's busted filament in there as well. The other 2 remaining, this one I already have it on a Variac here. It's rated 25 watt and I'm only giving it 40 volts. So I'm going to crank this up and then we can see it at the full brightness, but of course the camera is not going to capture that very well. You really got to be here to see how bright it is. And I'm going to plug in this one and then we can see what that one looks like. Alright, so I've got this one turned up now at full voltage, 120 volts, and it apparently was at one time a blue coated light bulb, but it must have been up in somebody's attic for 80 years, subjected to untold amounts of temperature gradients and humidity and all that terrible stuff, and it just totally ate away at the paint. And in fact, when I tried to clean the dust off of this when I first got it, some of the paint was just totally flaking off. Look at that, just comes straight off onto my fingers. And even before I got it, there was this huge patch. Let me turn this down. This huge empty patch right here. Somebody must have scraped that off with their finger. And another patch up here. Somebody scraped that off just to inspect the filament on the inside, I guess. And it looks like a little spot right here where there used to be a sticker, a label sticker with the wattage indicated on it. Anyway, it's very easy, far too easy to get the paint off of this, and I don't really like it as it is. I mean, it's just doesn't really act like a blue light at all. It's really just an ordinary white light with these. If you look at it up close, there's these blue smudges all over the place, but the light overall coming out of this is just like an ordinary white light bulb. So I am going to not delay the inevitable and just get rid of all this blue coating on here and just make it a nice white light bulb. And there we have it. That's the same bulb. Just ran it under hot running water in the sink and rubbed my fingers on it and occasionally my fingernail to get all that paint off. Amazingly, it actually left behind a really nice GE Mazda emblem on there, and it still works. Alright. Okay, now out of those 4 light bulbs, these are the only 2 that work, and I'm just going to run them side by side just for a unscientific brightness comparison. This one is rated, the first one I showed, 25 watts. Don't know how much this one is rated, and I haven't measured the current or the wattage at all. And it's a little bit brighter than the 25 watt. Okay, here's the 25 watt bulb looking at current and voltage, and let me put this on AC current. There we go. So there we go, full 120 volt as you would expect, and 196 milliamp. And that's a measured 23.5 watts. Not bad for a 25 watt rating. Now for the formerly blue lamp, a little bit more current here, 227 milliamp. and that's 27.25 watts. So this one might also be rated for 25 watts, 25 or 30, somewhere around there. Very, very similar to the first one. And now for a comparison between the 25 watt and a modern day reproduction with a cheap, poor excuse for a evacuation nipple up there at the top. It's this original vintage style bulb, 60 watt, and here's the color temperature, about 2200 Kelvin, and where does it say? Oh, 1500 hour rated life. Now I'm going to crank this up here, and when I first did this I was really quite surprised that they're roughly about the same brightness just looking at them with the naked eye. I don't have any instrument to measure the lumens coming out of them, but the color temperature from this one seems to be a little bit warmer than, or I should say a little bit cooler, a little bit more reddish or yellowish color temperature compared to this one. And even for each one of the individual strands of the squirrel cage shape, there seems to be more light coming out per strand than there is in here, or per unit length, more light coming out of this filament than out of this filament. Now I suppose a reason for the fact that this modern day 60 watt reproduction is the same brightness, approximately the same brightness as the 25 watt original, is just simply for aesthetics, because this is marketed not as a nice, as a general purpose electric lamp. It's supposed to be a novelty item for ambiance and trying to make the light output be soft and yellowish and warm feeling. So that might be the reason for this filament being designed to be so inherently dim compared to this one right here. This was of course a straight up utilitarian light source with the filament made to be as white as possible. Now let's have one more look at the formerly blue lamp and try to figure out how old it is. You can see the National Mazda GE emblem, and that is very similar to the one shown here on the KiloCats antique light bulb site. And we click on, there it is. You can see it's pretty much identical right there, same emblem and same blue color that this thing used to be, and a lot of unknown parameters here, but date, there it is, circa 1915, so roughly the middle of the 1910s is when this was. Comments: GE Mazda lamp in deep cobalt blue glass. Well, I don't think it's actually real cobalt blue, just a blue paint on the outside of regular clear glass. And another point of note is that this one has a tip on it, and the other 25 watt bulb does not have a tip on it, no evacuation exhaust tip. And so that would date this one to 1919 or later, because that's when they started to have the exhaust right here down in the base rather than on the tip. So this one probably 1920s, anywhere in the decade of 1920s roughly, and this one anywhere in the decade of the 1910s. And now, what to do with these two light bulbs with the busted filaments? Surely I can't just throw them out in the trash, since be given their antique status. I think I have an idea for something I can do with these. And there's a quick modification. Just soldered some small wire loops on the end of on the base of the light bulbs so that I may hang them on the Christmas tree. Very, very pretty, especially this one. Looks just like a regular white frosted Christmas ball that you might hang up on your tree, but it's a light bulb instead. Antique light bulb, very nice. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do for now with my $2 worth of antique light bulbs. If this kind of stuff interests you, you might want to look into the Great Light Bulb Conspiracy. This is an IEEE Spectrum article of October 2014. and basically it describes how in the 1920s there was a cartel of light bulb manufacturers across the world, all got together in they were in big cahoots with each other, and decided to regulate the lifetime of light bulbs. 2,500 hours was easily achievable at the time, but they decided to bring the lifetime down to 1,000 hours so the light bulbs would burn out quicker and people would buy them more often and spend more money, and they'd make more money. The companies would make more money. Very interesting read. I'll put an article into the I'll put a link to the article in the description, and of course I'll have a link to this antique light bulb website here. They got all kinds of interesting stuff, carbon filament and tungsten filament and Christmas lights and all these gas discharge lights and all sorts of antique related hardware. So check it out. So I hope you enjoyed that look at this 100-year-old technology. If you learned something in this video, then please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.